questions that came our way through the comment section. And whilst we try to attempt to do this, I would like to say if you are new here, don't forget to join the family by subscribing and then clicking the notification bell and be always alerted when there's something new from our end. And once again, you're welcome. All right, so there are just two questions. The first one has to do with how to calculate a certain number of spells. So let's say 5-day spells, 7-day spells, and all that. And then we have a threshold of rainfall that we are looking at. So for instance, in this case, the person was emphatic, says, how can we calculate the number of 5 days with less than 5 millimeters of rainfall? All right, so I'm just going to import my XRA first and then read my data set, which we've already explained what this does. If you are new and so you don't really understand this, go back, look at the other videos and try to refresh your memory. All right, so it's very simple. So what we are going to do here is that we can apply the rolling mean approach. So by rolling mean, it means I just move the averages through. So if I have, say, a data of 20 sets and I'm just doing a rolling mean of, say, 3, it means I pick the first 1, 2, 3 data, find the average, come back to 2, pick 2, 3, 4, find the average, go back to 3, 3, 4, 5, in that order till I get to the end. So that's what we are doing. So because these are just a number of days in sort of a sequence, we can just add 5 days, find the 5-day rolling mean, or in this case, actually the sum, find the sum of a rolling data, and then we compare that to our threshold. So we have a data array in this case, which is the rainfall called DARR, and so we employ the dot rolling on that. And then in this case, since we are using XR, we have to define this, the dimension we are working on, we are going to roll on. So we are rolling over the time, and then we are doing that in time steps of 5. There's a daily data set, so this means 5-day rows, and then we find the summation of each of the 5 days, and then we pass this into the variable called added. All right, so that's just by getting our 5-day rolling sums. And then now the next part is to compare and see where we have less than 5 millimeters of rain. So we pick our added variable and apply the where method, which is to say that, okay, so give us from this added data wherever the summed up data is less than 5, in this case less than 5 millimeters. All right, and so this part is supposed to do the categorization, and then after we are done with that, we want to count the number of such events in a year. So we group them by the time dot year, because we have a variable time, and so we want to group this by time dot year and get the count across all these years, and that's it. So we have our spell 5D, which of course works. If it says 7 days with less than 5 millimeters, we can pass in the time of 7 days and then our threshold of rainfall 5, or say 5 days with less than 10 millimeters, so 5 and then 10, and that's it. And then of course, once we are done, we can equally take any of the components and then plot it out and see what the output is. And this for the first year, we get the number of 5-day spells within that year. All right, and that's simply how to produce this. All right, and then on to the next question. The second question sought to find out how we can average over periods like, let's say, extended periods, and then having our own categorizations of the seasonal components, rather than using the default seasonal approaches like the DGF, MAM, which is the default. Okay, this is the de facto mode. So for instance, I pick my, to make this very simple, I'm just going to pick a point. So I'm selecting the coordinate 0.5 on the longitude, 6.5 on the latitude, which of course might not be in the data. So I'm applying the method nearest to pick the closest point. All right. And then I'll be using this B to explain something. So I'm resampling this data on the month. So I resample the data on a month scale. And this is different from group by, right? If I group them by the month, it means it's going to put all the Januaries in one class. And if I find, say, the sum, it means I'll get one value for all Januaries. But if I resample, it's going to resample them by the month of each year. All right, and then I find the sum on it, and this, we have our point. So I'm just going to explain from here. Now, let's say the first approach, I want to resample over new quarters. So the default is DGF, MAM, JJ, SON. What if I want to average over, say, GFM, that's January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, that's order. Then it means I can make use of the resampling. So a.resample, and then I pick my time coordinates, or my type, the time dimension in this case. And then I'm going to use the QS approach, right? These are Pandas features for averaging or sort of creating new classes of or new groupings of your time series. So if you look under the Pandas data structure, you get all these approaches. So with this QS, we are defining our own quartiles and then our own quarters, and then we are indicating the S to be it should sort of average everything within a particular quarter and then assign it to the starting point of that quarter. So let's say this January is going to assign the average for January, February, March, and then reassign the data to January 1st. And then clearly, if these are Pandas data structures, like I was saying, so I can specify the various time aggregation periods. And so using the QS means the quarters, and then we want the data to be all summed up, and then or whatever function you're employing should be performed on the data within these categories and then passed to the start of that quarter. So if I specify here that's Jane, that means I'm going to group them in January, February, March as one class, and then April, May, June, just like we have up here, all right, which is different from the default DGF, MAM. All right, and then all these will be assigned to, for instance, in January, JFM will be assigned to January 1 of the first of a particular year. All right, and so we have these aggregations over these quarters, and then we indicate that it should perform the summation over those periods. So once we do that, we can see what the values are, and then we can also see clearly the time aggregations in here. So there's January 1, 1850, that moves on to April 1, 1850. All right. And so what if I want to perform these over two, let's say, quarters together? Right, then it means I'll just indicate two quarters and then indicate the starting period. If I don't bring the starting, it means it's going to put it at the end of that particular start quarter. Yeah. And so I can also specify here that I should start from December. That means DGF, MAM will be added together because of the two quarters, and then JJSON also together in one set. And that's what we have down here. Now look at our time. So the December period and then the June periods in that order. All right. And let me do away with this. And then some other separations. What if we want to have, say, 4 categories of months together, like what someone was asking? Now, this is not a de facto mode in the separation. So in order to do this, we can actually apply the async approach. So think of it this way. If I have my a.time, I get all the time components, all right? And if I bring .dt, say month, that means if you take the time, put in a datetime format, and then extract the month, and we have all the months, okay? And that's it. So it means for the period, the data period, it gives us the month component. So we are applying this async approach. We are saying within this A category, wherever we have a.time.dt or the month, and it's in this category of, or this list of values we have, that's the December, which is 12, 1, 2, 3, it should select them as one category, right? And we are assigning that to our DGFM. And then after we pick that, now this could be all, but then it means we still wouldn't have aggregated them. It's just going to be DGFM, so December, January, February, March for a particular year, all pulled out separately for all the subsequent years. But then want to have, let's say, want to aggregate all those ones together, say the mean or the sum. So what we do is we are going to resample over the years. So we can indicate using the A approach, which is more like annuals, and then also with the S indicating you should put it at the starting point. Now, the reason why I'm using this and starting from December is because if I just go and use the Y, then it means instead of picking December for this year and then say maybe if you have your GFM, the December we want to use will be the December from the previous year. But then if we use the .y, then the Y approach, that means it's going to pick December within the current year and then add it to the January, February, March, which will be totally an error and then a bias, right? So once you make use of the December into the next year's January, February, March, and so we then make use of the AS approach and we indicate that it should start from December, right? So that it means December, say for instance, December this year plus January, February, March of the following year. And then we sum that. And then we can also do same for April, May, June, July, just like this. And then the same for August, September, October, November, in that same order. Then we can run this. And we have our DGFM. And then I have some Ys. And this is actually trying to explain what I already said because of the overlaps of the December into the following year, right? And so typically that's it. And so you can also try this out. And then also, again, once we are not starting from December, rather we're starting from January, we could use this same approach starting from 1, 2, 3, 4, or we can just resample over 4 months, say 4M or 4MS, and that's typically the same thing. Because in this case now we are starting from January, and we would so January to April, May to August, September to December. So we don't need to deal with the overlap of the years, and that's simply how you get to do this, and you can again visualize your output. All right, so that's all by way of response to the questions. If there's any further question, you can ask in the comment section. The team will respond to you. We believe you've had a great time following this tutorial and hope this features in your work as you move on. I do have a wonderful time. If you are new, don't forget to subscribe, be part of the family, click the notification bell, get alerted when there's a new post. Do well to like, to leave a comment, and also share within your network. See you later. Bye-bye.